Today is pedicure day for everybody but me. Pretty much all of my pets, however, need regular nail trims. I think it surprises some people how many of these pets actually need nail trims, ones that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Obviously, the farm animals all need regular trimming, from the horses to the alpacas, the goat, and the pigs. Some of those I have a professional come and do because it's a big task. And like with the horses, you really need special training to be sure that you're doing it correctly and not actually causing them problems. And then of course for some of the other large ones like the alpacas and cows, it would be a very daunting task for me to try to do it by myself. So I have what's called a farrier come and do those. My outdoor pigs, I don't typically need any kind of professional trimming because I make sure that there are paver stones all through their pen, which has done an amazing job keeping their hooves nice and short and rounded. There was one pig, one time, one hoof that needed to be trimmed. Otherwise, just having them constantly walking on that surface has done the trick, thankfully, because with pigs, the alternative is normally to have a vet come out, and a lot of times they have to sedate them, and pigs don't do very well with anesthesia. It's just kind of a little risky, so anytime that I can just have them do it themselves naturally, that's better. The indoor pigs and the ones that stay in the cottage, however, do normally need their hooves trimmed pretty regularly. They grow very fast when they're getting the right amount of minerals and vitamins. So for those, I'll show you how I trim them. And then of course, my dogs and my cats all need their nails trimmed regularly, but also a lot of the animals in my animal house need their nails trimmed. Even like the reptiles, the tortoise, of course the birds, which is probably the most challenging animal I have. And then the small animals, guinea pigs, the ferrets, all of that. Truthfully, the birds I usually will attempt, and then if my attempts fail, I'll have to have a vet do it because it can be dangerous, traumatic. Sometimes they are willing participants and let me do the little bird burrito and everything without trouble, and then sometimes they are out for blood. But doing it regularly, consistently, just having positive experiences that aren't very stressful or painful, it will normally make it a lot easier. So the tools that I use, 2 different sizes of pet nail clippers. Now with like a loon, the puppy, and with some of my really small animals, their nails are so tiny that I will use human nail clippers. For most of them, having these 2 different sizes is enough. For the pigs and some of the larger dogs, I'll round their hooves or nails off with a Dremel. This is like a tool Dremel, not like an animal nail Dremel. I've tried some of those. They never seem to last very long. And some of them have like the cover on them, which for me just makes everything more difficult to aim correctly and see through it and everything. So I actually prefer this. And for the smaller ones, I use a metal nail file to just round them off. Knock on wood, I have actually never drawn blood on any of my animals. I'm a pretty cautious nail trimmer though. I don't go too far. I'd rather do it frequently than do it seldomly and have to take off a bunch of nail and risk hurting them because they remember that, and then every time after that's a pain in the butt. It does happen. It happens a lot. Even vets who are trimming nails all day, every day will do it. You want to make sure that you have either a product called Quick Stop or something like it that's specifically made, this chair is squeaky, that's specifically made to stop the bleeding. Or you can actually use cornstarch, and you can either dip their nail in it or pat some on it, and it causes the blood to clot very quickly. Otherwise, nails bleed a lot, an alarming amount for some people, so you definitely want to make sure you have that because it can take a while for the bleeding to stop without it. Claire's one of them that's probably the worst about it. I don't think she really ever had her nails trimmed before I got her. She didn't act like she'd ever been in a house when I found her. Sweet as can be, but yeah, just was definitely an outdoor dog. So she's not used to it, but she's not bad either. We're getting better, and she has very long quicks. We're still trying to get her quicks down short because, I mean, her nails were like wrapped around her paws. Because I don't like to go really short when I'm trimming them, I'd rather trim them more often. And when you do that, what happens is the quick can actually recede. So her nails have gotten naturally shorter and shorter. Dogs that don't have regular nail trims and their nails grow out, their quicks grow out with them. So you can't trim them back very far until you've kind of, made the quick recede, right? And this is how I trim all of my smaller dogs. I do it all by myself. They sit in my lap, And we struggle a little, but not too much, generally speaking. And what you're gonna look for, like on her white nails, you can see a very clear line. I still have paint on me from painting with the birds. You can see a pretty clear line where the quick is and where the white part is. So I just take a little bit off the end. Good girl. You don't want to forget, they have this little side guide too. Here's one paw. We're doing great. You're doing great. I've seen dogs that have permanent issues from their nails being so long and from them having to walk funny basically to compensate for the long nails and the discomfort. It's surprising the amount of problems that something so small can cause if it's not maintained. Good girl, Claire. Okay. The back ones I find with most of my dogs don't need to be trimmed as often. I still like to check them though and just take a little off the end. Oh, you did so good. Now the problem is all the dogs know what I'm doing and they're all going to run from me. Don't be surprised if doing it this way is not an option. Yeah, I've been doing it for years like this, so they're pretty used to it, but I know we saw dogs all the time, even little ones that had to be restrained or it took a few people to do it. There are lots of great guides on how to hold your dog for nail trims. Good job. These ladies, this will be a good example. They hate it and they've not had it done often and their nails are long. Yeah. Their nails were super long when they got here, right? And they freak out. I know. See? Good girl. See? Nothing's happening. I went ahead and put a muzzle on her. She's never come anywhere close to biting me, but I do want to encourage if the dog is acting a little snappy and scared, which she was. Obviously, she's just scared, but for everybody's safety, I do have them and I will put them on them. So we do this, it kind of calms her down too. Yeah, it just makes it safer for everybody. It doesn't hurt her to have it on. I always think when you're getting to know a dog, better just to have them wear it and look a little ridiculous than risk having some kind of issue. There. Yeah, I know you're just scared. Let's take this off. You did so good. Good girl, you're free. He keeps his pretty darn short, so I doubt there's gonna be much that I have to do here. I just kind of take off the little ends. He's another one that likes to dig. Right? Okay, so you get the idea for the dogs. If you do it regularly with them, it doesn't even matter if you got them as a puppy. Actually, none of these dogs I got as puppies. So that doesn't have anything to do with it. Just messing with their paws, even if you don't end up actually like trimming any off, sometimes, yeah, just getting them used to you playing with their feet and being around the nail clippers, really not trimming too much. In my opinion, yeah, trim off less, but more frequently. And it'll just go smoother for everybody. Ultimately, it'll end up consuming less of your time because you won't be fighting with your dog, because trust me, even these little guys at 5 pounds can be such a pain in the butt if they are squirming and snapping and crying and trying to get away. It takes 5 times as long, so you can only imagine with the big ones. Honestly, my biggest dog, I've only ever had to trim just the little dew claws ever, his entire life, because he just runs around so much outside. They love to be outside, love to be running and playing, and there's like a big concrete patio, and there's a bunch of paver stones, and there's a concrete sidewalk, and so from just running on that, this dog has the shortest nails I've ever seen. So if you're somebody who has, who's like in a neighborhood and can take your dog walking often, that'll also help, not only just to keep them shorter, but it rounds them off really nicely too. For your pick, they have to be rounded just right and level on the bottom, because otherwise you can end up with some issues walking. For some pigs, it might be easiest to kind of burrito them. Just makes them feel a little safer. With the birds, it's the only way to do it is if they're wrapped up completely, basically in a bird burrito with just their little feeties sticking out. For the pigs, just makes them feel safer. So you can see, hopefully my camera is doing a terrible job focusing. Oh, okay, so you can see where the pink ends. So this right here is all extra. To be honest, I would recommend doing it before they get this long. I just knew that I was gonna make this video, so I've put it off for probably 2 weeks. They have these little tiny hooves on the sides. Those I will trim just with this. Now, with pigs, you wanna be efficient and fast. I also try to take a little bit off the hoof with this to start, so there's less to Dremel. As they get bigger, you may end up needing to get like farm-sized clippers. It's pretty quiet. I don't know if it sounds quiet here, but it's quiet in person, so it's not scary. I'll let him sniff it. You can't really see her. I don't feel like that's any better, but good girl. Not something that you've worked with your pig on before, you're probably going to need to consider a more restraining position and possibly getting someone to help you. I know a lot of pig owners end up flipping their pigs upside down for this, and kind of, some of them even construct like wooden barricades kind of, hold their pig in place upside down. Normally when a pig is upside down, it's a very vulnerable position and they're less likely to put up much of a fight. I keep it on the low setting. I only use this file. I don't really use the metal ones at all. And I always use my finger to protect where her skin is. So if I go off her hoof, I'm gonna nick myself and not her. Even with my pigs, I end up not doing all of them in one sitting, because kind of gauging your pig's tolerance level. And when they start to feel like, you know, this is enough and getting squirmy, it's best to just not fight them. Come back, do the next hoof the next day. So you're kind of just gonna follow the natural curve of the hoof. Again, trying to keep it kind of angled downwards in the front and nice and flat on the bottom. Might be kind of hard to see. I'm gonna take the metal nail file and straighten this out a little bit in here so that they sit together nicely. If you are trying to start this with an adult pig, 9 times out of 10 you're going to need assistance. You can look up plans to build one of these pig cradler things that will hold the pig upside down for you. Otherwise though, if you are a new pig owner, you have a young pig, this is just something to start working on now. Even if you're not trimming them at all, just get them used to the sensation, get them used to being held. So Brie is the best pig in the entire world, and let me go ahead and do all of her hooves without any complaint. So she's had a full trim all the way around, and most of the dogs have. I still have a few to go, and then the cats and the birds and everything else. But for this video, I mostly just wanted to show you the dogs and the pigs. Of course, if you are not comfortable with doing this, if you've never done it, if you're really unsure, hey, go to your vet. They will be more than happy to either just do it for you anytime it's needed, or to show you how to do it and watch you do it even, and make sure that you feel confident and well prepared before you try it yourself. It can be a little scary because there is that small potential that you could end up going too far and hurting your pet, and there's no way to tell them that you didn't mean to hurt them, and it just crushes your soul. So this is for anybody that wants a little more advice or a little confidence booster. You wanna go paint your hooves now?